I was in front of the mirror, modeling the different swimsuits I had chosen for the occasion. It had been a while since I last dared to try one on, and the idea of doing so now generated a mixture of excitement and anxiety. My body had changed a little, but I still felt like a work of art, ready to dazzle. 3 swimsuits lay on the bed, each with its own color and style. As I took off the last one I had just tried, the door to the room opened. Initially, I assumed it was my husband, looking forward to my little private parade. However, as I turned my head, I realized it wasn't him, it was my father-in-law. My reaction was instinctive. One arm rested on my chest, while the other strategically covered the compromising area. I found myself in front of the surprised eyes of my father-in-law. He, obviously uncomfortable, quickly turned around and closed the door behind him. From the other side, he apologized, explaining that he was just looking for his son to leave. Shame overwhelmed me. I couldn't believe that my father-in-law had seen me in such a state as I came into the world. Words of reprimand danced on the tip of my tongue, but I held back, remembering that we were visiting his house. "Don't worry, it's okay," I murmured, trying to hide my discomfort. "My husband is in the shower. We'll be ready in a moment." At that moment, my husband emerged from the bathroom, still wrapped in a towel that revealed his statuesque torso. He asked me what had happened, and I told him the situation. "Nothing," I answered nervously. "Your father was just asking if we were ready. He's outside waiting for us." My husband nodded and headed towards the door. "We'll be ready in a moment, Dad," he assured him before he noticed that the door was ajar. It was then that he told me, "Always be careful and check that the doors are closed. What if my father had come in, he would have seen you just as you are." In my mind, I said to myself, if you knew that he had already seen more than he should have. But my husband was also completely right, because I forgot to lock the door. The sun was saying goodbye on the horizon while my husband and I, with hidden anxiety, waited for my father-in-law to start the car to start our trip. My father-in-law, for some reason, was nervous, and his hands were gripping the steering wheel tightly, as if it contained something that wanted to come out. It was then, between the murmur of the wind and the rustle of leaves in the morning air, that my husband decided to break the awkward silence. "Dad, is something wrong? Or are we waiting for someone else?" he asked with his eyes searching for answers in the reflection of the rearview mirror. My father-in-law said, "Yes, but it won't take long to arrive." Suddenly a figure stood out in the darkness, a young woman with a backpack on her back, and her hair barely tied up in a bun. My eyes met my husband's in a gesture of shared surprise. And raising our eyebrows we said in silence, "What a surprise." "She's a friend that I invited to accompany us," my father-in-law explained with a complicated smile, as if he had revealed a hidden secret. "That's not a problem, right?" my father-in-law asked. "No, not at all," my husband and I responded in chorus, although confusion still hung in the air. My father-in-law, who had been widowed for 5 years, nodded with an expression of mixed relief and nervousness. "There is no dad, you know what you are doing. Plus," my husband added, "there will be 2 women on the trip. That way they'll have something to chat about along the way." I accepted the explanation with a smile that later turned into bitterness. "You'll see what happened between my father-in-law, the friend, and me." My father-in-law had 3 reservations at the hotel. One for my husband and I, one for him and one for the friend. We went into the hotel room, and I told my husband how secret your father was about his dealings with this girl, observing the uncomfortable expression on her face. He hesitantly responded, "Yes, you see. But don't get like that, darling. Be glad your father has company, and you, a stepmother, I said with a touch of sarcasm, seeking to ease the tension. My husband looked at me with a half-smile, as if my comments, they were just unimportant occurrences. That's when he blurted out the real worry that was on his mind. You know, honey, I'm not worried about my father being with her. What really worries me is that he is younger. You know what they say about these types of couples. Maybe she's with him just for his little things. I raised my eyebrow and without saying words, nodded my head. You're a woman, why don't you come up and ask her how long you've been together? She suggested with a challenging look. Wow, you're curious, honey, but that's okay. I'm going to try to get the better of him, as we say around here, I responded with a playful smile, ready to unravel the mysteries that floated in the air of that hotel room. I couldn't help but feel intrigued by the story that was being woven between my father-in-law and that mysterious friend. I took my husband's assignment very seriously, and I immersed myself in the role my husband had assigned me. My mission was clear, to approach my father-in-law's friend and discover her true intentions towards him. With determination, I put on a provocative swimsuit and headed towards the edge of the pool of the luxurious hotel where we were staying. While enjoying the warm embrace of the sun, the friend in question, approached gracefully. His curious eyes landed on my figure and a playful smile danced on his lips. Hey, but you look good in that swimsuit, he commented in a seemingly innocent tone. It looks like you've taken good care of yourself all this time. Although my heart was beating nervously, I decided to play along. Yes, I've tried to stay in shape, I replied with a calculated smile. The conversation slid smoothly into more personal terrain. With the skill of a skilled interrogator, she herself provided me with the information I was looking for. But how long have you been married? He asked. With seemingly innocent curiosity. I didn't have to force the situation, the opportunity presented itself to me. I'm not very old, but it's been 5 since I got married, I revealed. As I watched their reactions. She, even in a dress that suggested more mysteries than answers, seemed to fall into my trap. I would like to wear a bathing suit, but when I looked through my things, I realized that I didn't bring one, she confessed with a hint of frustration. I saw my opportunity shine like the sun that surrounded us. That's fixable, I exclaimed enthusiastically, offering him a solution to his little dilemma. Come with me, I have plenty of swimsuits. The invitation was launched, and with each word, a web of intrigue was woven around it. Until this moment I did not imagine that the information I would get from him would do what would lead to where my father-in-law and I ended up. Hey, how long have you been with my father-in-law? I asked him, trying to sound casual even though my curiosity danced impatiently in my eyes. She looked away for a moment, and a subtle blush stained her cheeks. Well, it's been 3 years, he confessed, as if revealing that secret weighed on his soul. 2 years. After he was widowed we met. I was amazed at the revelation. Wow. You already have your good time then. Does that mean it's serious? I commented, trying to hide my surprise. She nodded with a knowing smile. For me it is serious, she said. Curious, I couldn't help but continue investigating. Do your parents know about this? If they were alive, I would have told them already. But neither of them lives anymore, he responded. Calmly, as if carrying that absence was an everyday occurrence. Or how sorry I am, I added, feeling the weight of compassion in my words. It's okay, that happened a long time ago, he reassured me with a serene look. I decided to change the subject. And who do you live with then? I live with my older sister. She knows what I have with your father-in-law, because sometimes he even leaves us some things at home, she confessed, revealing a closer bond than she imagined. She told me, "I know you are curious to know why I am with a man older than me. I want you to stay calm, because it is not his money that has me next to him. It's something else, and let me tell you, I still have an internal struggle. Because I don't know if it's true love. But I can't be away from him for long." It was then that I asked him, "But what then?" "I'm a little sad to tell you," she told me. "No, don't be sorry, after all, we are both adult women," I told her. "What happens is that your father-in-law does it to me in a way that I can't resist. His father-in-law has left no space for me that he hasn't been in. I can't tell you details, but I imagined you." I was amazed and told him, "You are telling me that even by the years?" "That's right," she said, nodding her head. "And you stop all that?" I asked him in amazement. She told me about all that and whatever she invented. I was thoughtful because the truth is I don't do any of that, not even though my husband has asked me to. I do nothing. I went to tell my husband, because that was my mission. My husband was amazed and his eyes even shone, but he only told me, "I understand." Well, it's up to them, and although I don't believe that story, what else can we do? At night the four of us got together and drank until 11 at night. Everyone went to their room and I was exhausted. Just then I heard someone trying to open the door, and when I turned to look at my side, my husband was not there. It was 3 in the morning and I, still somewhat dizzy, got up and asked, "Where were you, darling?" "No, I'm your father-in-law," said the voice behind the door. "Wait a minute," I said and went back to put on a robe. When I opened the door, my father-in-law was there, with heavy breathing and occasional blows to the face. "What happened to your father-in-law? Who did that to you?" Swallowing his saliva, he told me, "It was your husband." I was amazed that he told me that, and before asking the reason, I saw that my husband approached quickly and begging his father, he said, "Dad, please come, let's both talk. This can be fixed. I don't know what happened to me, but come on, don't make this bigger." Just then my father-in-law's girlfriend appeared, with her hair disheveled and wrapped in just a short robe that left nothing to the imagination. "What is happening here?" I asked. My father-in-law without hesitation said, "It happens that your husband was with my partner in his room. They thought I had fallen asleep and started doing their things." My husband said, "Honey, please don't think what it isn't. I love you, it just turned me on to know what you told me that she did with my father and I wanted to check it out." Looking at him I told him, "It's good that now you want to blame me. I am then the one to blame for having told what she told me." Then the girl intervened and said while looking at my husband, "Stop this nonsense, you know very well that all this has been a plan of yours and mine. But it didn't turn out as we expected. Your husband and I have been seeing each other constantly for more than a year. He told me that he wanted me to find his father so we could keep his entire inheritance. Because he was hurt that his mother suffered with him. Because he messed with others when she was alive. He didn't have to come to my room today, but he got jealous of what you told him, that I told you. And I did it because he's been telling me for a long time that he's going to leave you and he never does." I left at that moment to return to my parents' house. My father-in-law took his own course, and although my husband begged me to return to him, I did not. Because if he was with someone else, it is simply because he didn't love me. I recently found out that the young woman is expecting, and at the moment it is not known if she belongs to my ex or her father. Love is the most wonderful thing that exists. But don't try to make your nest where there is already one. My father-in-law left me a part of his inheritance and the other to the girl, because he said it didn't matter if it belonged to him or his son. After all, it was his blood. You who have come this far, what advice would you give to young women, so that they do not do this? Because she was lucky that my father-in-law will leave her something. But there are many who only bring the fruit of their womb to misfortune.